Welcome, everybody. Today is our first session in our Summer Bridge Learning Series at Curated Automation. My name is Christina Vitolo. I am the Marketing and Communications Director here at Curated Automation, and we are so excited to kick off our series with the focus on giving you the product, tool, approach, tactic, and skill knowledge that you need to really make work better for you. So Mason, if you could just please introduce yourself and then jump right in.
Yeah, thanks, Christina. My name is Mason Gajkowski. I'm a solutions consultant at Curated Automation, and we're going to be spending a little bit of time today in the sheets working on some formulas. So today we're going to talk about the value of using an at cell reference instead of just at row. At row is pretty common, but at cell can really help you save some time and reduce the number of columns that you're creating for certain formulas. So here I have just a basic set of dummy data. We have a task name, a cost, a due date, if it is complete or not, and then what team it is assigned to. So if we were trying to do a calculation that we want to find out the total cost for items in 2023, what a lot of people would do, and kind of this is what I did when I started doing Smartsheet stuff, was I would add helper columns. So we'd say year helper column, and then I would just do a year function and reference the date column. As you do that, you can get that date, then your formula would just be your sum ifs, the range that you want to sum, then the range that you're comparing it against, and your criterion, which in this case would be 2023. And it gets you that number that you're looking for. This is pretty basic, but what I want to show is a way that you can do this without adding the additional column, and I'll kind of explain why. So if we just kind of continue with our example, let's say that we want to do the same thing here, but we want to do it for 2024. Again, you're just the range, the criterion range, and the criterion are going to be similar. The criterion changes to 2024. You get your update. Now, if you wanted to do the same thing, but for August, now your year helper column doesn't work, right? You would need to add an additional helper column, month number, to get that. And again, you're just going to do the same thing as before. You're using a function to pull out the month from that date column. So you're starting to see that we're adding a lot of columns that might not be helpful. And as we're trying to scale and reduce the number of columns, if we have a lot of data, we don't want to slow down our system, we start having all these problems. Additionally, if we added another date column here, let's say you had a start date, if you're continuing with the same structure where you're adding helper columns, you're going to run into a problem really quick where you're going to have a year helper column for the start date, a year helper column for the end date. It starts to get pretty crazy. So we're going to get rid of both of those, and I'm going to show you a better solution for that. So we'll do the same sum ifs, where we're going to sum up the rows here. And then using the criterion range, we're going to use that same function that we had in our column, but in the formula. So we're going to do year, and then instead of using this range again, which would give you an error, we're going to use the at cell, which is going to say, look at all of the rows, look at all of the cells individually, and then give us do your calculation there. So we can do at cell is 2023. Let's end it. And it's going to get you that same answer. So instead of using that helper column, you can get that same data by using your at cell reference. And so when you're using this, let's go to our 2024. You can do the same thing. You're just changing one value. And if we wanted to do a month, we can do that same thing that we did for the year. So sum ifs, let's do our range. The range comes down. We're going to use our date column again. And instead of doing year, we're going to do month at cell is equal to, and then whatever month that you want to show. So if we wanted to do the month we're currently in, you're in 6. We have all of those values that are being collected. So a really helpful tip to simplify your solutions. Another thing that you do, and what I would always recommend, is if you're using this solution, the only problem is if your date columns aren't fully filled out. If there's a value in there that it doesn't recognize, it's going to give you an invalid, let's see, an invalid data type error. So what I would recommend in that is when you do your if year, do an if error on the sides of that. Let me go right here, add a 0. And now it's going to only look at the ones where the date, or it's if there's an error, so what we're getting the invalid date, it's just going to put in a 0. And because that doesn't meet the criteria, you're able to continue using that formula, even if there are columns missing, or maybe there was a value that wasn't, like if somebody put, for example, Friday of that one week. Not very good data, but you can see how this can solve that problem. Additionally, and kind of my last last recommendation would be, not only do you start out and use this if date is 2023, what can be more helpful is you build a solution that doesn't need to be updated all the time. And so you'll have customers that'll say, I want to see this month, the last month, and the future month. And so instead of going in and constantly changing those dates and saying, okay, now I need, we're in 2026, I need to go back and adjust that. What you can do is say is equal to the year of today, and then that's going to do all of 2024. If you need it to do next year, you can just add a +1 because it's going to grab the year of today, which would be 2024, and then it's going to add a 1 to that, so 2025. Or if you need to go in the other direction, obviously you do a minus, it's going to calculate for that year. Using this is very helpful because as you're starting to see a lot of data come in or a lot of changes that people need, they want to see a week breakdown or a, even a day breakdown. You can use that at cell with the if error to really simplify your solution. And then if you use an additional function inside of that, you're able to get data that will move with you as you're moving. So when we go into September, we can still pull dates from August and October without having to go in and manually update it. So that's my superpower trick of the day.
Thank you. We want to thank everybody that joined today. And we look forward to seeing you at our next session, which will happen on Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern time. We hope you can join us. Thank you very much.